Hello there guys, and welcome to another top 10 countdown from me, Scott. Today I am counting down my top 10 worldwide theme and amusement parks. So it's a bit of a mix of theme and amusement parks in my top 10 list of parks. Bit of a strange mix really, some of them might surprise you, some of them may not. If you've not yet seen my top 10 roller coasters, please check it out. I'll put a little card above my head for you to check that out as well. Some, you could say, maybe strange coasters in there as well compared to what the sort of average enthusiast would like. So before we kick into my top 10, I just want to say there's a couple of parks that have just missed out, and the reason these parks have missed out, I feel like I need to explain this because a lot of you, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you will know that I've been to these parks, and those parks are Fantasyland, SeaWorld Orlando and Universal Islands of Adventure. Now these three parks are all not in my top 10 for the same reason, and that reason is I've not been to those parks enough for me to feel like I can justify saying that they are top 10 theme parks for me. I feel like I need to do them all a little bit more before I can go, yeah, this is a top 10 park, it's one of my favourites, I need to go more often. Probably do need to go to these parks more often, but I'm not really in like a massive rush to get back to the parks in Florida, if I'm honest. They were great parks, I had a great holiday there, but there's so many other parks that you can try out in America. And as with like us doing Cedar Point this year, if you do different parks when you go to America rather than going, I'm going to spend 7-8 grand going to Florida every time, you'll probably boost your coaster count, you'll probably find a lot more different parks that you might like more than, say, the parks in Florida. But that's not me slagging Florida off, that's just me saying that as much as I liked it, I want to try different coasters, different parks and different places in America. Because from what I found from doing like the parks in Florida and the park at, well, Cedar Point, is there's such a different sort of culture in those areas. You can tell the different states, you can tell that they're very far apart, you can just tell that they have a completely different way of living, to be honest. And that's not to criticise one or the other, they're both really nice people in both places, they're just different. And that's probably the best way of putting it really, and it's different in a good way. Different in a good way. They all have different ways of going about stuff, they're all chilled, they're just friendly as well, they're all really friendly. Especially in Florida, but of course they're used to tourists and they're used to Brits especially going over. So of course you've seen the title, you know it's a top 10 video, and that is probably why you've tuned in more than anything else. So a big thank you to everyone who is watching this video and willing to listen to me rambling on, tripping up over my words and whatnot. So in 10th place is Alton Towers in Staffordshire. Now this may surprise you, but I think the reason it's in there, and a bit like my top 10 with roller coasters, this took me for ages to do, by the way. So yeah, I just nearly knocked my brew over. I could do without knocking that wheel off because that'll be heavy. If that hits me on the back of the head then, or on the shoulder even, then this video is going to finish probably halfway through this count, so hopefully it'll stay there because it's bloody heavy. And just for reference, it's a wheel off the big one. So yeah, in 10th place is Alton Towers. Alton Towers makes it into my top 10 because even though it's not a park that I'd like rate as my best, it's still a park that I feel like needs to be visited a couple of times in a season. And the reason for that is they've got Nemesis, and that was always my main reason for visiting. They've got Nemesis, they've got Oblivion, they've got a couple of decent coasters there which are worth doing when you're not going to another park, you've not got nothing else planned. Towers is only like 40 minutes away from me really, so it's worth doing, especially if I've got nothing else planned. But with the introduction of the Wicker Man as well, that's an extra reason to go. You got the Wicker Man and Nemesis now, two really good coasters, two of the best coasters in the UK. They're two very good reasons to go and give Alton Towers plenty of visits, especially when you've got a Merlin annual pass. And there is a nice feeling about Towers. I mean, of course it has suffered in the last couple of years with the cost cutting, operation cuts and opening hours cuts and just cuts everywhere. It has really suffered for that, but I don't know what it is, I've just enjoyed it more in these last couple of years. I think it's maybe because there's a feeling that Alton Towers has always been like superior to everywhere else in the country, and when it kind of carried that tag across the whole of the UK enthusiast scene, it was almost frustrating to visit sometimes, because you almost didn't dare to criticise the park because you knew that it wasn't going to be a very popular opinion. But now that things aren't as perfect as they may have seemed, there's more of a collective sort of agreement in the enthusiast community about where Towers is right now. I think there's less pressure on Towers and less pressure on like me as a visitor to think, oh god, this place is perfect, when it isn't perfect. No theme park, nowhere is perfect, but it's easier to enjoy Towers now that it isn't getting so much hype like it was getting 5-6 years ago. But the Wicker Man has created some new hype, but it's all good. So yeah, Alton Towers is in 10th place, a park that I've really enjoyed in 2018 particularly. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting back in 2019. I'm really looking forward to getting back on the Wicker Man, looking forward to getting back on Nemesis. Actually looking forward to doing Oblivion as well. It's always a fun roller coaster to do. Moving on from Alton Towers, in 9th place is another Merlin park. This time it's Fort Park. Fort Park is a theme park that's quite far away from me, from where I live. It takes a while to get there, but I just enjoy going there. It is worth the M6 pain, it's worth the pain of the M25 as well. I don't get down there very often, to be honest. It's not a park that I can do very often because I don't have the patience to sit in slow moving traffic on the motorways. But when I do get down there, I always seem to have a great time. Fort Park over the years has been battered with the same stick, that the operations are this and that and the other, that they don't do theming very well, they don't do this very well. It gets a bit of stick in the enthusiast community, but I actually really enjoy Fort. It's one of those parks that, it's again, like Towers, it's not perfect, but I just enjoy it for what it is these days. I just enjoy that you've got Stealth, you've got Inferno, and even the Swarm surprised me this year. It really did surprise me. To be honest, in the previous years I've never really rated the Swarm that much, but this year I seem to enjoy it, and I actually think it's better than Gatekeeper, which is another B&M Wing Rider, which is at Cedar Point. I think the Swarm is actually better. It's not better than Phoenix, but it's definitely better than Gatekeeper, which I wasn't expected to be saying after going on Gatekeeper. I expected that to be better than the Swarm, to be honest, but there you go. I just enjoy the atmosphere of Fort. I don't know what it is. I mean, again, it gets beaten with a stick from enthusiasts and just general comments that you see on social media that it's a chav park, it's this, it's that, it's the other. I just enjoy it. I just think it's got decent atmosphere about it, and it's just generally a good day out. The rides, they may not be my favourite rides overall, but they're decent rides to do. Like I say, Stealth, Inferno, the Swarm, they're all fun. I'm not the biggest fan of Saw, but it's alright. It's alright, it's not that bad. I don't like Colossus, I'll be honest, I don't like Colossus. Just trying to think, Walking Dead, that's alright. Enjoyed it on the media day when the actors were in there. Enjoyed it in August as well when the actors, or September, whenever it was, where the actors were in there. Bit surprised at Fright Nights that there was no actors in there, but I guess they were tied up doing the mazes and whatnot. So I think Fort had an enjoyable year to visit on a personal level. I probably went Fort more times this year than I've ever done in a year before. I went in March, went in, like I say, September, and then went in October as well. We also covered it for the Fright Nights, which Mullet did for the press night, if I can get my words out. So yeah, I like Tidal Wave as well. I used to love Loggers Leap. I just like the feeling of the park. I like the silly audio around Stealth and Tidal Wave, Big Bob Jones, and it's 2 in the morning and I need donuts and all stuff like that. It's just general daftness that is a really good atmosphere about the place. So in 8th place is one of the parks that may surprise you. It is Park Warner Madrid. Now, Park Warner Madrid, to start with, is not in Madrid, a bit like Portaventura isn't in Barcelona. But I suppose it's similar to what Ryanair do, where they'll turn around and say an airport's in Barcelona or Glasgow and it's actually nowhere near these places. Or, for example, London Heathrow, which is nowhere near London city centre. But I'm not getting into that debate, we're not an aviation channel. I'm sure everyone's got their own opinions on that. But yeah, Park Warner Madrid is nowhere near Madrid city centre. So if you haven't been, and you would like to go, feel free to drop us a line, ask us for some tips on how to get there, and my advice on what to do in terms of where to stay, best places to get transport from, etc. I've done it quite a lot over the years. A brief overview is what I would say is fly to Madrid, which is pretty easy to do from the UK. You can get there from Liverpool, Manchester, I'm sure you can get there from down south as well. And in Scotland, I've never actually done that route. I've always ever done it from Manchester. But I'm just tempted to say Manchester, the greatest city in the world, just because it's, well, Mike says it. But yeah, moving on back to Park Warner. I would recommend flying to Madrid, of course, and then you can get transport to a place called Pinto. Pinto is about 20-25 minutes away from Park Warner on a taxi. If you go on the bus, it's about 35 minutes, maybe even less than that. I've not been since like August 2017, so my memory's not spot on with it. But yeah, I totally recommend flying to Madrid, get a taxi, pre-booked taxi from Madrid to Pinto, stay in Pinto, and then from Pinto there's connections to Park Warner. Either you can go on the bus or from the bus from the train station, but I just recommend getting a taxi from your hotel. It ain't going to cost you much. You'll be there in no time, and you don't have to faff around on a bus, because then buses get very warm and very full very quickly, and they're never ever on time, which is pretty standard for any bus service, but especially in Spain, as you're probably aware if you've been to Salou, Plan, a bus are very rarely on time. But yeah, it's the same with Pinto. The bus to Park Warner is rarely on time. It's one of those situations where you wait ages and then about 7 turn up, and then only one goes, and you get crammed into one bus and you're pretty much, you know, squeezed up against the walls and stuff, but it's all part of the fun. So Park Warner's got 2 B&M roller coasters. It's got Superman and Batman. Now, it's the DC Comics connection that originally sort of made me want to go to that park, because I'm a big comic book fan. I mean, I've got a Superman tattoo. I'm sure you've seen it on some of the past videos. Just smacked my arm off the side of the wall, 'cause I keep forgetting this is here when I'm filming. This is why I didn't let Mike sit here the other day for Mike Monday, because he'd have injured himself on that, because he's just injury prone. Yeah, Park Warner, it's got 2 B&Ms, it's got a Vekoma giant inverted boomerang, it's got one of the worst wooden roller coasters I've ever been on, it's got about 20 water rides, which is of course a big exaggeration, but it has got quite a lot of water rides. The rapids are daft, they just get you soaked. They remind me of the Popeyes water ride at Universal. It just gets you absolutely soaked. And then you've got like a similar ride to, best way to describe it, it's probably something similar to Tukey Splash, just not as many drops. And then you've got Rio Bravo, which is again similar to Tukey Splash but different theme, but very similar in what it does. So they've got quite a few water rides that are very samey, but 2 of them especially, but they are all worth doing. And Park Warner is a park that has got very, very little shade. My experiences of Park Warner are that it's always quiet, so the operations are always pretty slack. They've always got 1 train on the coasters. I've never seen the coasters with a big queue though, so that doesn't surprise me really, that they're on 1 train. It is a park that I just generally enjoy going to, because I like the connection with the DC Comics stuff. Obviously, like the characters that are roaming around the DC area. I like the references to the old Batman and Superman films. I like the soundtracks. I like the rides there. I like Stuntfall, which is the Vekoma giant inverted boomerang. It's absolutely bonkers, that thing, but it's well worth doing. It's one to get on your coaster count if you've not got it yet. I think it's one of those parks you've got to go and judge for yourself. I just haven't had a bad trip there yet. I mean, even last year when we went, Becca was feeling completely under the weather while we were there, but we did have a good time. We did have a little bit of a moan about it on the vlog, which we were called out for, which is probably understandable because we're saying we like it, but we had a bit of a moan. But I've touched on that in a previous video where we were far too quick in vlogs to point out the bad stuff rather than the good stuff. If I was recommending a park to do in Spain, other than Portaventura, it'd definitely be Park Warner, and that's why it's number 8 on my list. So moving on, in 7th place is the wonderful Toverland in Holland. What an absolutely fantastic park. I've been there 3 times now, and it's a lovely setting. The colours are vibrant on all the rides. The rides are vibrant, the areas are vibrant. They've got a lovely fountain show. The fountain area is great, the play area is great. I just think the park is so good. It's just such a great park to visit. And again, if you've not been, I would completely recommend it. It's easy to get to by car. It's easy to get to by plane. It's just a great park and I totally recommend it. You've got roller coasters like Troy, Derwilwind, Phoenix, Booster Bike. they're just excellent coasters, and I just can't recommend the place enough, honestly. And as well, they've looked after PB this year. I mean, they let me walk around the Phoenix construction site back in June. That was an experience which I may never get to do something like that again. It was an incredible experience. And then of course we had the event there in October, which was just perfect. It couldn't have gone any better. It was a stress-free day. They looked after the group, they looked after the club as a whole, and it was just excellent. And I can't wait to go back, to be honest. It's just such a nice feel about the place. There's not a bad thing I can say about Toverland right now. And yeah, to think that I accidentally sort of dropped on visiting there a couple of years ago with Becca when a couple of our plans changed. We were planning on doing the full weekend at Efteling, and the transport that we were taking actually changed, and we decided, sod it, we're just going to drive and we're going to do a couple of parks. So instead of doing 2 days at Efteling, we did Toverland as well, and we did another park which is soon to be named on this list. I'm sure you'll guess what it is. Those parks were both better than Efteling. But yeah, again, if you've never been to Toverland, please go. You'll love it there. It is such an excellent park. So in 6th place, this is a case of how the mighty have fallen, really. In 6th place is Portaventura, once one of my favourite parks. Of course, it's still in my top 10, but I'm pretty sure it was in my top 2 last time I did one of these counts. It certainly isn't anymore. I do adore the place. I love the atmosphere about the place, but the way it's being run by the current owners, the way that they're just letting the whole place just decline, is just so sad. It's so sad. I mean, if you watch some of the other theme park vloggers, you'll probably tell that there was a certain channel who used to go there pretty much all the time. He rarely goes there now, and when he does, he very much has a similar opinion to me that, yeah, I used to love this place, but it's been run into the ground. There's quite a lot of enthusiasts who've got a similar opinion that remember visiting Portaventura in like 2006, 2007 sort of time, and even further back than that. And it was always a place that you just had to go as a Brit. It was just one of those places, if you're an enthusiast, you just had to go. It was something different than Disney. It was something better than Disney, in my opinion, in Europe, which I might not be in a popular opinion, but it still is better than Disney, in my opinion. But it was such a place that used to, you know, if you'd not been there, enthusiasts that were older than you used to say, you have to go there, you've got to give it a try. And I'm glad I went when I did. I mean, the first time I went was 2006, and compared to now, it's just a completely different place. It has a great feeling about it still. It's a lovely park, and the rides are really good, but the way they run the park really, really endangers my opinion of becoming really bad of it, to be honest. I was in a state of shock last time how bad the park operations were. I mean, it was taking 7-8 minutes to dispatch trains on Shambhala and Dragon Khan. It took an hour to do Dragon Khan with Fast Pass. Can you believe that? An hour with Fast Pass. Can you imagine what the main queue would have been? But yeah, it's in my top 10, so of course I do still love bits of it. Shambhala is an excellent roller coaster. Dragon Khan is still a good roller coaster. Furious Baco, always been one of my favourite coasters. Doesn't make my top 10 anymore, but it's still one of those coasters that I just really, really enjoy. It's just insane. It really is insane, and it's such a good ride to have in that park. I quite like El Diablo, but I'm an Arrow fanboy, so that doesn't really come as a surprise, I'm sure. I just like the square corners on it, and the just feeling of rattliness. It's just a rattly, dodgy feeling coaster, which is just fun. I think that's probably the best way to put it, really. You've got the log flume, which is just insane. I'll put a card above my head. If you've never seen the wettest log flume ride ever video that we did, then you need to check it out, because it was a proper tidal wave. And then of course you've got Tatuki Splash, you've got the Rapids, you've got the Saloon Show, you've got the other shows, you've got the parade. It truly is an excellent place. It really is an excellent place, but it's just run so badly. I would actually take Merlin over the current owners of Portaventura, and I know that a lot of people might in the UK enthusiast community go, what? But honestly, Merlin would do such a better job with Port Ave than the current owners. I think anyone would. Honestly, I think anyone would. But I probably shouldn't keep going on about that. So in 5th place is Wallaby Holland. What a bloody good theme park that is. Yeah, we went there in October 2016 for my birthday, and yeah, that was amazing. Just we went for the Friday nights, so it was really, really busy. But one thing that stood out was how good the park operations were. We didn't wait very long for anything, including Lost Gravity, and that was its first season. I just really love that park. I love dance music, I love trance, so the fact it's got it all around the park, that helps. And then, there's a nice vibrant feel about the park. I love the fact they've painted Lost Gravity in black and yellow. It's just crazy, it's just so good. And then you've got speed of sound with the onboard audio, which is just excellent. It's a Vekoma Boomerang, and it's one of the best coasters I've done. It's just, again, it doesn't quite make my top 10, but it's just such an amazing coaster. It's so much fun. It's got the soundtrack, it's got those vibrant colours, and it's smooth. It's really smooth, but intense for a Vekoma Boomerang. It's so smooth. You wouldn't expect it on that kind of ride, but it is really smooth. Other good things about Wallaby Holland, you've got the Wallaby Village. Again, they looked after Club Pleasure Beach Experience last year when we had an event there. They really looked after the group. Just an excellent park. And Express Platform 13, that's excellent as well. Like basically rock and roller coaster, but outside with very little theming. But indoors, in the queue line, you've got great theming. And even up to the point of getting on the ride, it's really well themed. There's obviously no theming after the launch. But aside from that, really good coaster. Got a good log flume, gives you Loggers Leap vibes with its double drop. Yeah, again, Wallaby Holland, totally recommend it. Just such a great park, and I am going back next year for the RMC, which might surprise you, but I'm looking forward to doing the RMC there. I keep looking down because it's Friday whilst I'm filming this, and of course you've got Follow Friday on Twitter, so PB notifications are just buzzing away like a beehive, basically. Probably a strange way of putting it. Fourth place is the fantastic Europa Park, which I visited for the first time in October. Spent 2 full days there though, and just wow, park operations, best I've ever seen. The queues literally don't stop moving, you're just constantly moving. And with how busy it was, I was thinking, oh yeah, brilliant, we could do a bit of vlogging in the queue lines. We didn't get a chance really. The queues move so quick, it's brilliant. So we did a lot of vlogging outside of the queues really. I know we mentioned in the vlog quite a bit about how good the queues were, but usually on like big long vlogs like that, we do quite a lot of talking and rambling just in the queue lines, but we didn't really get a chance. But I'm not complaining because the queues moved so quick. And I'd seen comments for years and years and years from like Towers Street or Europa Street saying, oh, come on, you've got to go to Europa Park. And I'm going, yeah, but the rides don't look very good. Yes, the capacity and throughput's good, but are the rides that good? Well, yeah, they are. They're actually really good. Woden, Silver Star, Blue Fire, they're all excellent. Poseidon, Atlantica Super Splash, just all excellent coasters. Even Arthur's excellent. I just think everything they've done there is done with a lot of thought, a lot of good reasoning, and just a lot of care and attention has gone into everything they do. And I just think, yeah, great park, and I really can't wait to go back. I'm still hoping that we might do an event there next year. We've never done a club event there, so I'm hoping next year that we'll be able to do that. So if we do that, I will of course do a video to let you know, and I'll put posts on socials and stuff like that. But yeah, I really can't wait to go back to Europa Park next year, whether it's an event or just a normal visit. I'll definitely be going back because it just needs to happen. Right, number 3 is Blackpool Pleasure Beach. You're probably expecting that to be number 1. It's not quite number 1 this time. For no reason in particular, I've not fallen out with Pleasure Beach as a park, or I'm not sort of getting bored of it. It's just not number 1. Because you'll probably see why when the 2 parks in front of it get named. It is still my favourite UK park. It is still a park that, it's my go-to theme park. It's 76 miles away, but I'll always visit. I've had a season pass there now every year since 2005. God knows how many times I visit every year. Went loads of times this year, spent God knows how many hours actually on the seafront watching Icon be constructed last winter. Actually pulled my calf muscle by accident by, well, power walking down the promenade to try and get a bit of track being carted from one end of the park to the other on the seafront, and yeah, ended up injuring the back of my leg, which wasn't good. But yeah, I was limping around after that for a couple of days. Luckily it wasn't too serious, but that was the kind of dedication I was willing to put in to get the icon updates, and that's just how much I love the Pleasure Beach. So I just enjoy working with the Pleasure Beach on a professional level as well, doing the events, doing general PR stuff, filming, just everything. We just do so much with the Pleasure Beach behind the scenes that we don't really mention on camera because it's probably stuff that probably wouldn't interest people, but we go so far in depth with organising the events, certain bits of filming. We've got so much planned for next year already, hoping to do a couple of Pleasure Beach documentaries next year. If you'd like us to cover anything in particular, let us know in the comments, because we are interested in seeing what you want us to do next year. It's going to be a big year for us on YouTube, especially for Pleasure Beach content next year, so I'm really looking forward to updating all of our Pleasure Beach footage in terms of doing 4K filming and just getting lots more photos of the park as well, which we started updating all our archives this year with photography, so that's going to continue next year, as well as all the 4K videos that we've been filming. Lots of those to come over the winter, so please keep an eye out for them. But yeah, I've been going Pleasure Beach since I was a kid. I don't know how old I was the first time I went, but I've been going at least 10 times a year since probably 1989, 1990, sometime around then. And yeah, the bug's never really gone away. I just love the place. And I think like I had a god tier with like the big one being in it in terms of roller coasters that I'll always like, even if it's not in my top 10. Pleasure Beach is in that god tier. It will always be up there. It'll always be a park that is my go-to park. It just may not be what I see as the best park in the world, but I'm sure you get where I'm coming from. Second place is Liseberg over in Sweden, Gothenburg. It's a lot like Pleasure Beach, to be honest. It's very much built on top of itself. It's just got a great amusement park feel about it, even with a bit of theming these days. It's got great roller coasters like Helix and Balder. I've not done Valkyria yet, but I'll be doing that next year definitely. And as well, Liseberg really look after the Pleasure Beach experience. I mean, last year they gave me and Becca free entry tickets to go. They gave us fast passes. That was all on the back of me emailing asking if we could film POVs. We were allowed to do that as well. And then in sort of return I said, well, we'll bring loads of people in 2018 and do an event, and we did that, and we had an even better time. It was such an amazing time. We got to see in the transfer track area of Helix, we got to see the trains being taken off the track. We got to see like them putting the trains on Balder. We got to do Balder and Helix ERTs. We got to do all sorts of crazy stuff that we just didn't expect to do, and it was just an amazing visit. And it's an amazing park, amazing hospitality every time we go. That's not to say that doesn't happen at other parks, but Liseberg is just especially good as well for that. And they're just a great park. There's just such a lovely feel about it. And yeah, I'm already planning to go next year, and we're doing the event there next year. I just can't wait to go back. Can't wait to go back. Helix is my favourite coaster, you've probably just seen in my top 10 coasters video, so yeah, that's a big reason why I really like Liseberg. But as well as that, they've got other good rides and attractions. They've got great hospitality, got great people working for them. It's just a great place, a great place. Number one is probably very predictable, seems as it's not been mentioned yet, but it is of course Cedar Point. How could Cedar Point not be number one? It's just an amazing place that I'd wanted to visit since probably 2002, 2003 time. But it was always the dream that didn't seem possible. It just seemed impossible to do. It seemed like a nightmare to get there. How am I ever going to get to Cedar Point was pretty much what I used to say every year at the start of the new season. When am I ever going to go? When am I going to find the time? When am I going to have the money? When am I going to get the time to sit and plan it? Well, at the start of 2018, it happened. It just happened. One day I was sat waiting to go work, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a look at flights. Went on Skyscanner. I was looking at September, and it was actually Becca's idea to go when I did. Becca was like, the flights are really cheap, you should go now. Or pretty much go in May. Was not go now because it was shut when we were looking at the flights, but you should go in May. So I did. And yeah, what an amazing trip it was, and it just instantly went to number one. I mean, you know my thoughts on Magnum XL. You know that I really, really like that roller coaster. But on top of that, you've got Top Thrill Dragster, you've got Maverick, you've got Steel Vengeance, you've got Raptor, you've got Valraven, you've got Millennium Force. you've just got so many amazing coasters, not to forget Corkscrew, the amazing Arrow Corkscrew. They've just got everything. It is the holy land for a roller coaster enthusiast. I know some people do think it's overhyped after they've been, but not for me. That's just number one, easily. I think Magnum XL and Top Thrill Dragster and Maverick have a big part to play in that, but there's not many parks that I get back from and go, I need to go straight away again and need to start planning. And no sooner than we'd pretty much got on the plane back from Detroit, because we flew into Detroit, I'll put a card for our travel vlog for Cedar Point. Yeah, as soon as we were on that plane, the notebook was out and I was planning, right, when are we going next year, when are we going, what are we going to go for Coaster Mania, are we going to do it another time? Normally I have a bit of chill time and go, yeah, I'll think about when we're going to go back there, but no, Cedar Point, it was straight on it, I'm going these dates, and now we've booked to go as well, first week of June. Just can't wait, really can't wait. I mean, it's like 7-8 months away. I don't know how long it is until we go. I just can't wait. Wishing time away here, but I can't wait to get back on Magnum XL, can't wait to get back on Top Thrill Dragster. I even can't wait to get back on Steel Vengeance, to be honest. Even though I've said it's not my favourite coaster and it's not in my top 10, I just can't wait to get back on it. But for an amusement park, it's really well landscaped and styled. It's not themed in places, it's got little bits of theming, but it's more styled than themed, to be honest. So just an epic park, epic place, epic people that work there, epic people that visit. It's just a nice place to go. No animosity to tourists, even though it's not really a touristy place, but it feels like it's becoming one now. A lot more Brits are managing to get over there. Hopefully we've inspired some of you guys to go next year, because I really hope that's happened. I know a couple of people have messaged and said, look, we're going to go Cedar Point because you've shown us how to do it on your travel vlog, we're going to do it next year. And that's the reason we do travel vlogs, as well as sort of showing us being daft and having silliness in the airports. It's nice to show that these parks are easy to get to if you look into them, and Cedar Point is probably a lot easier than I thought to get to. It's still not the easiest place to get to, but it's easier than I used to think it was to get to be honest. So yeah, have a watch of the travel vlog and get yourselves booked there for next year. It's I know a lot of you who watch do like Florida, and I know a lot of enthusiasts like Florida, but give that a miss. Get yourself to Cedar Point. You won't regret it, I promise you. So yeah, just a final run through of my top 10 then. So in 10th place we've got Alton Towers, 9th place Fort Park, 8th place Park Warner Madrid, 7th Toverland, 6th Portaventura, 5 Wallaby Holland, 4 Europa Park, 3 Blackpool Pleasure Beach, 2 Leesburg, and number 1 Cedar Point. Now of course these are my personal opinions, you may not agree with them, that's fair enough. If you don't agree with them, please let us know in the comments what your favourite park is. Let me know why my list is bonkers if you think it is, and if you agree with my list, please let me know in the comments. Of course, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Now before I go off camera, I want to point you in the direction of Pleasure Beach Experience Monthly, which was uploaded yesterday. That's got me and Mike covering a range of subjects such as RMC conversions at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, namely the Grand National. That's come up again. That's not going to happen, but for a full reason why it's not going to happen, check out that video, PBE Monthly. We've also got Becca's top 10 in there as well, so Becca's making a proper return to the channel now. We cover some other bits and bobs as well. We also announced the winner of the 10k giveaway, so if you've not watched that yet, please give it a watch, and don't forget to watch our vlogs that we've done in 2018. Thanks for watching, guys. Oh yeah, before I go, what do you want me to talk about next week? Because obviously looks like I'm doing my own show thing now, and still ain't got a name for it because I can't call it Scott Saturday because this is on a Sunday. So last week I said I wasn't calling it Scott Saturday in case I uploaded one on a Sunday, and the second week of doing it, it's on a Sunday, so I'm not really sure when to upload these or what to call them. And yeah, just let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm sure that there's plenty for me to talk about in these videos, and probably won't do this once the season starts, but we've got 12 weeks yet, 12-13 weeks, which is a painful thought. So yeah, that's it from me this time, guys. Thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next Pleasure Beach Experience video.